I'm Misha, Adobe creator and producer of the Deep Dive podcast. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 25, and today we will be doing a deep dive into Gorilla Tag. Okay, it looks like Grace and David have their snacks ready and are settled in behind the microphones, so let's get going.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. You sent us some really interesting articles, all focusing on one specific VR game, Gorilla Tag.
That's right. It's quite the phenomenon.
It really is.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to, get under the hood a bit, understand what makes this game where you play as a legless gorilla such a big deal in VR.
We'll be looking at how you move, the community, how it was made.
Yeah, the whole journey, including some of the bumps along the road. So expert guide, ready to swing into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, first things first. For someone maybe tuning in who hasn't heard of it, what is Gorilla Tag?
Right. So at its heart, it's a social VR game, pretty casual. You're these gorilla avatars, monks as the players call them, legless monks.
Legless monks. Okay.
And you're basically interacting with others in these virtual spaces.
Yeah.
Playing tag mostly, but other simple games too.
Like a virtual playground, but everyone's a gorilla.
Exactly that.
Okay, that image.
Yeah.
It's kind of inherently funny, but what really jumps out from the sources is the movement. It's not your typical VR joystick thing, is it?
Not at all. That's like the core innovation here. It's all hand-based locomotion.
Hand-based? How does that work?
Well, you literally push off the ground with your hands, like using a climbing or quadrupedal motion to run or walk.
Like a real gorilla would move.
Pretty much, yeah. And jumping. Same
Yeah.
idea. You push off any surface, the ground, a wall, whatever, with your hands.
And climbing.
You grab onto things and pull yourself up, physically pull. There's also a grip button for, picking things up.
Wow. So it's very physical, very direct.
Extremely. It bypasses the need for leg tracking or complex button inputs for basic
It
movement.
feels almost primal. And the articles mentioned an inspiration, another VR game, Raccoon Lagoon.
Yeah, that's part of the origin story. The developer, Caristel Smith, he saw how players reached down in Raccoon Lagoon to grab items.
Okay.
And he had this idea, what if that reaching motion was the movement? Plus, practically speaking, VR leg controllers weren't standard, so building around arm movement made sense.
So inspiration meets practicality. Clever. And it creates this really embodied feeling, I imagine.
Definitely. You're using your actual arms and body to move in the game world.
It's not just tag, though, right? You mentioned other modes.
Correct. You've got a casual mode, which is more for just hanging out, exploring, socializing. No real pressure.
Just monkeying around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's infection. A few players start as lava monkeys, all red and fiery,
Uh-huh.
and they chase everyone else. Tag someone, they become a lava monkey too. Last survivor wins. Classic tag style.
Okay. What else?
There's hunt, where you get a specific target player you need to track down and tag. And paintball.
Paintball with gorillas.
Exactly. Slingshots, paintballs, team-based.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, you can customize your monk.
Yeah.
Change colors, add hats, accessories
How do you get those?
of shiny rocks. You get a few each day just for logging in, or you can buy them with real money.
Trade in your boring job for a brilliant career using Adobe Creative Cloud. Start learning now with the free trial link in the description.
Purely cosmetic stuff.
Shiny rocks for your monk. I like it. Now, going back to the movement, one source described it as easy to toy with, but tricky to master. What's that about?
Well, the basic idea, push off the ground to move, it's pretty intuitive. You can grasp it quickly,
Okay.
but really getting good. Moving fast, climbing efficiently, doing fancy stuff like wall jumps or
Yeah.
juking other players, that takes real practice.
So there's a skill gap.
Oh, for sure. It's physically engaging. You're not just flicking a stick. You're coordinating your actual arm movements. It can be quite a workout.
And this whole movement system, it's kind of taken on a life of its own, hasn't it? I read it's open source now.
Yeah, the locomotion code itself was made open source.
And other platforms are using it, like Roblox.
That's right. People have adapted it, built similar systems on Roblox and other places, which really speaks to how effective and intuitive it feels once you get the hang of it.
Yeah, that's pretty telling. It shows the power of that core idea.
Absolutely. It's clever design having a ripple effect.
Okay, so the movement is obviously key. But the articles also really emphasize the community. It's more than just a game mechanic, it's a social hub.
Huge aspect. You can't really talk about Gorilla Tag without talking about the community. It's massive and very active.
Where do they hang out online?
Well, Reddit's a big one. The Our Gorilla Tag subreddit has over 39,000 members, and Discord is huge too. official servers run by the devs, plus tons of fan-run servers.
39,000.
Yeah.
Wow, what happens on the subreddit? Just game talk.
All sorts. People share news about updates, obviously, but also lots of fan art, gameplay videos, people asking for tech support or giving feedback, discussions about mods, showing off their cosmetic setups, sharing funny moments. It's a real mix.
And Discord is more real-time chat, I guess.
Yeah, great for finding people to play with right now. Quick questions, that kind of immediate interaction really fosters that sense of community.
Sounds super engaged. But, you know, with any big online community, especially one with younger players, moderation and safety become really important topics. How are the developers handling that?
That's definitely a major point in the sources. The studio, another axiom, they've put measures in place. There's a code of conduct. Pretty standard stuff.
Right.
No toxicity, no cheating, no harassment.
Right.
They have an in-game reporting system. Players can flag bad behavior. And there are bans, which get more severe if you keep breaking rules.
Is there an appeal process?
Yes, there is. You could appeal if you think you were banned unfairly.
What about for the really young kids? The articles mention specific features for them.
Right. For players aged 10 to 12 using those current-managed meta accounts, there are extra safeguards.
Like what?
Things like restricted voice chat. It defaults to just making, like, monkey noises instead of open voice.
Okay, interesting.
Also, anonymized name badges, so their actual usernames aren't always visible. And limits on text chat and buying shiny rocks.
And parents have some control, too.
Yeah, through something called the KID Family Portal, parents can manage who their kids can group up with, control their username visibility, things like that.
Good to know those features exist. Okay, let's shift focus a bit to how this whole thing started. It wasn't always this big studio, another axiom, was it? It began much smaller.
Oh, yeah, completely. It started as a solo project by just one guy, Caristel Smith, also known as Lemming, or Lemming VR Online.
One person. Wow.
He started working on it back in late 2019. And interestingly, his inspiration wasn't initially gorillas or tag.
No. What was it?
It was actually Echo Arena, you know, that zero-gravity VR esports game.
Yeah, I know it.
He was apparently a competitive player in Echo Arena. The zero-G physics there kind of sparked some ideas.
Huh. From zero-G esports to ground-based gorilla tag. That's quite a leap.
It is. And we already mentioned the Raccoon Lagoon inspiration for the arm movement, the actual gorilla part. That apparently came from a friend.
How so?
The friend saw the arm-swinging movement prototype and just remarked that it looked like a gorilla moving. And the idea stuck.
Sometimes it's just a simple observation.
Exactly. And Smith made some deliberate choices early on, too, like the art style.
Yeah.
It's intentionally low poly.
Right. Kind of looks like early PlayStation games, almost.
Yeah, that was intentional. And he also decided not to include tutorials or menus in the traditional sense.
No tutorial. That's bold. Why?
The idea was to encourage players to figure things out through play, through experimenting, to make it feel more immersive, less like a typical game.
Throw them right into the jungle, basically.
Pretty much.
So walk us through the timeline. It started on SideQuest.
Yep, early access, February 2021. On Oculus Quest via SideQuest, which is like an unofficial app store, and also on Steam VR for PC VR users.
Okay.
Then it hit the official Oculus App Lab in March 2021. That's Meta's platform for games still in development, but more accessible than SideQuest.
Right. And then the studio formed.
Another axiom formed in August 2022.
Trade in your boring job for a brilliant career using Adobe Creative Cloud. Start learning now with the free trial link in the description.
Smith teamed up with David Yee and David Newbelt. That seemed to really accelerate things.
And the official store launches.
Official MetaQuest store debut was December 15th, 2022. Big milestone. It left Steam early access January 1st, 2023.
And PlayStation.
PlayStation VR 2 release came later, November 8th, 2024. So it's gradually expanded its reach across all major VR platforms.
And through all this, they kept updating it constantly.
Oh, constantly. New maps, new features, tweaks. Updates seem to drop every few weeks. It's a big part of keeping the game alive and the players coming back.
That must be crucial for keeping such a large player base engaged, continuous evolution.
Absolutely vital. And some of these updates have been pretty significant content drops.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Okay, there was the basement update. Added this whole underground maze area, kind of spooky, with obstacles and even some simple enemy characters to avoid.
Change the dynamic a bit, I bet.
Definitely. Then there was a hoverboard update. Introduced hoverboards and a skate park map. A totally different way to get around.
Hoverboards, okay.
They also brought back something called monk blocks at one point.
Monk blocks. What's that?
It basically lets players build things.
Yeah.
Place blocks, create structures, platforms, adds a creative element.
So, User-generated content, almost.
Kind of, yeah. Within the game world. It's been expanded since its introduction, too.
Cool. Any other big ones?
Let's see. Bayou Boogie added a whole swamp map. Creepy Mansion included. Seasonal stuff, too, like a snowball fight update for winter, where you could combine snowballs to make bigger ones.
Nice.
More recently, updates like Hover Park 2.0, revamping the hoverboard stuff, and an Eggy Critters update, which was like an egg collecting event.
It sounds like they're always adding something new to explore or do.
Exactly. It shows a real commitment from the devs to keep things fresh. It's not a static game at all.
And all this effort, this unique gameplay, the community, it's translated into serious success, right? The numbers mentioned are pretty staggering.
They really are. By June 2024, the game had reached over 10 million total players.
10 million in VR, that's huge.
It is. And revenue was over $100 million by that point, too.
Wow.
Plus, it's apparently the most rated game on the MetaQuest store. More individual ratings than even Beat Saber.
More than Beat Saber. Okay, that's a serious claim to fame in the VR world.
It really is. And players stick around. Average play sessions are reportedly close to 60 minutes.
An hour per session on average. That's high engagement for VR.
Very high. People clearly get sucked in.
And it's bled out beyond just VR circles, hasn't it? Social media played a massive role.
Well, undeniably.
Yeah.
TikTok has been enormous for it.
Yeah.
The hashtag Gorilla Tag hashtag had something like over 10 billion views by June 2024.
10 billion. That's astronomical.
Just shows the viral potential. Plus, active communities on YouTube, Reddit, Discord. It feeds itself. It became a cultural thing, especially for younger audiences.
And critics liked it too. It wasn't just a player phenomenon.
Mostly positive.
Yeah.
PC Gamer called the gameplay deceptively simple and praised the movement. Upload VR gave it best competitive multiplayer back in 2021.
High praise.
GameSpot even called it a preferred virtual hangout for Gen Alpha. And on Steam, it's got like 93% positive reviews out of tens of thousands.
Overwhelmingly positive then.
Generally, yes. The core concept clearly resonates.
Okay, so huge success story. But no game, especially a big online social one, is without its problems. The sources did point out some controversies and criticisms.
Right. And they mostly circle back to the community and safety aspects we touched on earlier.
Toxicity in lobbies.
Yeah, that's a recurring theme in the criticisms. Reports of, unwelcoming player behavior, outright toxic players, people hearing inappropriate language, vulgar chat.
Which is a big concern when you have younger kids playing.
Exactly. That clash between the game's E for Everyone rating from the ESRB and the fact that VR headsets themselves usually recommend 13+ airings. It creates this tricky situation.
So parents are worried about exposure to profanity, bullying, maybe worse.
Yes, those concerns are definitely voiced. Bullying, racial slurs have been mentioned in some reports. It highlights the challenge of moderating such a large, open, real-time social space.
And the moderation system itself came under fire sometimes.
There's criticism there, too. Some feel the banning can be overly aggressive, maybe unreliable, if reports come from very young kids who might just spam the report button. And the ban appeal process was described by some as convoluted or ineffective.
So even with the safety features they implemented for younger kids,
It's still a massive challenge. Moderating millions of players, many of them children, in real-time voice chat. It's incredibly difficult. No easy answers there.
were there other criticisms besides the community and moderation stuff?
A few others pop up. Some people mention the graphics being poor or simplistic, though clearly that hasn't stopped its popularity.
Right, the low poly style.
Yeah. Also, the movement, while innovative, can apparently cause motion sickness for some players. That's pretty common with intense VR movement, though.
True.
And that lack of a tutorial or traditional menus, while intentional for immersion, some find it a barrier. They just want to know how to play without fumbling around so much initially.
Understandable. So quite a mix. Groundbreaking game, huge success, but also facing those tough online social challenges. How do we sum up Gorilla Tag's impact, then, bringing this deep dive towards a close?
Well, it's definitely carved out its own unique space in VR. That locomotion system is genuinely innovative. And combined with the simple social gameplay, it just works for millions of people.
The success speaks for itself.
Absolutely. Financially, culturally, within VR, it's a landmark title. And the constant updates show it's still evolving.
But the challenges are significant.
Very. The issues around community toxicity, player safety, especially for kids, and the difficulties of effective moderation. These are serious problems that another Axiom has to keep grappling with. They're not unique to Gorilla Tag, of course, but they're very prominent here because of its audience.
So its legacy is kind of twofold. Massive success built on innovation, but also a case study in the ongoing struggles of managing large online communities.
I think that's fair. It demonstrates the power of intuitive physical gameplay in VR and the huge appeal of casual social experiences. But it also reminds us how hard it is to get the social dynamics right, to keep things safe and positive for everyone.
It's been a really fascinating look into this virtual guerrilla world. We've covered the unique movement, the buzzing community, the solo dev origins, the constant updates, the massive success, and those very real challenges.
It really is remarkable how something seemingly so simple, Gorilla Tag with ARM controls, became such a hit. It makes you think about what other non-traditional ideas could take off.
Exactly. So a final thought perhaps for you listening. Considering Gorilla Tag's success formula, unique controls, social focus, what other simple, maybe overlooked concepts could be the next big thing in VR, or even gaming generally?
Or maybe thinking about those moderation challenges. What kinds of new solutions or technologies might we need to make these burgeoning virtual social spaces safer and more welcoming for everyone?
Definitely some food for thought there. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive. I'm Misha, and let me send out a huge thank you for listening. If you want more content on gaming, education, or other fun stuff, head over and find me on YouTube. Link is in the show notes. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next deep dive.